All right, welcome everyone. We're back, and this next section is going to be amazing. So I'm going to share the screen because I need to really let you see. Whoops, I guess we're going to take a second here to find the right screen. I want you to understand about Lisa. There she is. Hi, Lisa. And we've been having such a fun time getting to know each other on the 3D level, right? And the fun part about this kind of idea of coming together, gathering different perspectives, gathering different people, is that we have that opportunity to share experiences. So there's stuff you can read in the book, there's stuff you can buy a course for. But when you start to have your own personal experiences, or you work with people like I do, or Lisa does, or all of these speakers do, you get to see a whole other side, right, of what happens. And you get to see things that aren't just for you. That's what I love about having clients and students, is like, oh, look what happens there, and look what happens here, and that. So what we're going to do with Lisa is you're just going to love. That was interesting. You're just going to love this. Let's just escape here. If you're just finding this and you haven't, well, we'll just make that a little smaller. There we go. If you haven't signed up and you want to get the gifts and you want to get notifications, this is where you go, nanakasha.com. And of course, there's also a link right on the main page. So don't worry about that. Now, Lisa is such a fascinating lady, and I'm really excited because we've kind of crossed paths several times over the years, and she's been on a few of my summits, and she's always lovely and enlightening. But what I really love about Lisa, to be honest, is her adventurous nature. She travels, and so I see her going here and there, and I'm a big travel person. And it isn't just for the travel, which is fun, but that idea that we connect to other places, other times, symbols, power spots, places we're called to do some work, right? You might feel like, I know that everywhere I go, my energy is bringing something probably for that area, and I'm going to receive something from that area. So Lisa is a best-selling author of The Infinite Wisdom of the Akashic Records and From Questioning to Knowing. Well, wonderful. I love this. 73 Prayers to Transform Your Life. She's founded the Akashic Knowing School of Wisdom, and she teaches students all over the world to personally access their soul wisdom and Akashic guidance and support their life. And this is what we're exploring, right? How can this be more practical? Or what are the new things that are opening up with this idea of the Akashic Records that we can access? So with more than 20 years of spiritual healing experience, a master of empowering individuals into find greater fulfillment, happiness, abundance, and health and ease, she can help align with your soul plan, and not plan your soul plan, you already did that, understand your soul contracts and complete old karma and vows to transform your life. And this is her website, akashicknowing.com. Now, with all the replay information we're going to send you in the emails, we'll make sure you have all of Lisa's information and her free gift, which is called Connect to Your Three Brains to Deepen Your Intuition. I love this. So connecting a guided meditation to connect the three energetic brains and align with various levels of intuitive knowing and bring it into consciousness. So what I really love about that idea of bringing it into consciousness is what I say a lot, Lisa, is it's time for us to consciously develop our intuition. Right? Not say, oh, I had this wonderful experience because I went to this sacred temple, right? And I happened to, feel expanded and things were glowing afterwards. Or I think, I saw myself in another life, instead of randomly stumbling over all this stuff in our lives, right? So share a little bit about, we've been talking about so many amazing things, ways that you can use the Akashic Records when you travel, when you go to these sacred places, galactic things opening. But share with us whatever you feel called.
Always so much to say. I'm so excited to be here. It has been so fun just getting to hang out with you and just really see how many things, also how aligned our paths have been. We both have twin daughters and have done a lot of the same kind of sacred journeys and travel. And it's so lovely to find another soul sister. And like I was saying, I'm just going to have to come down and
Yes.
visit you down there and go to some of those amazing temples I haven't been to in over 30 years. So
yeah, you'll be amazed. You'll be amazed.
So what the record keepers want me to say is that this really is the time to learn to access your own Akash, because you wrote a plan before you were born. My third book, which will come out in January, is literally titled, Your Soul Has a Plan, awaken to your life purpose through your Akashic records. And many years ago, probably more like 25 than 20 now, the record keepers asked me to help them anchor the Akashic energy back on planet Earth, because in the dark ages, they had literally pulled the vibration too far away for most of us muggles to access, right? And so the only people who have been able to access the Akashic records for the last 1,000 years were really the mystics. And so back in the 70s and 80s, they were like, okay, it's time, we're moving into this new age, a new yuga, the age of Aquarius, and the vibration, the energy alignment is going to really take us into a new golden age. And that's why we're working on creating our new Earth, right? But one of the big things that they asked of me was to start a school and to teach people, with simple processes to access their records so they can have their own soul guidance every day with ease. And so they gave me what I now call the 5-step wisdom prayer system. So we use vibrational keys as access prayers to move into the Akashic field and alignment and to converse with our own record keepers. And the other thing they always say is, keep your eyes open, And it's always really funny because when I teach my students, I'm like, of course, you're reading a sacred prayer. So I said, yeah, obviously can't read with your eyes closed. But so, go into the feeling, connect to the energy. But the record keepers truly want us to walk through life with our eyes open, totally conscious and connected and in the vibration of the Akash, because it is part of source. It is part of the quantum field. It is access to the plan your soul wrote. It is alignment to your soul's wisdom and guidance. And they truly want us to wake up now, to be conscious in our daily life. And so learning to access your own Akashic records gives you that ability to, like I'll say, the record keepers want me to say this because I can hear them all the time because I'm always in that vibration of the Akashic record. And the other really lovely thing is that, of course, it's pure source energy. So it's pure love. And that is such a gift to be able to be held in that energy of love and to be able to feel that and, carry that through for ourselves, for others out into the world, for our family, our whatever, our clients, our students, our friends. And so that is the Akashic Records request. So learn to access your records. It will transform your life.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about some of the ways that are relevant now with what's happening now, right? Where we're in a metamorphosis or a grand transformation, a breakdown, breakthrough, whatever you want to call it. The whole world is, we're not sure where we're going exactly. We've never been there. So it's that moving through. So this idea of, this is what I love, is becoming your own authority, like trusting your own inner authority and developing your intuition and your tools like this as one of them, so that you can not be dependent on what everybody else is saying and not be dependent on the current drama outside of you and not live in the fears of what you were told you were and all of that. So we were talking about listening. Like, one of my favorite things is when you don't know why, but you do something.
Yeah.
And when you get to this point, you go, I don't know why, but I know I'm supposed to be there. I know something's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
And then sometimes you never know, and sometimes you do know why, and it's okay. And how this connection you can start to develop with your Akashic records can help you on a little journey like your trip to Scotland.
Absolutely. So I love to travel. I've been traveling since I was in my 20s. And so whenever I get that message from my record keepers to go someplace, I'm always like, okay, sure, And interesting, I'm starting to see it as even a bigger project that I've now been on, which is interesting since just after COVID started. So the first thing that showed up was in September 2020. I was invited to join a group on a tour to Egypt right after Egypt had opened up. I mean, there was like 4 places in the world that you could go, and Egypt happened to be one of them. And so, of course, I said, yes, I've always wanted to go to Egypt. Very Syrian. I is also very Egyptian, and whales and dolphins, right? Sirius A and Sirius B. I'm very connected to that energy. I know I've got lots of those past lives, all the information that I've gleaned over years of working in my own records. What does it mean to be from Sirius, or what were those lifetimes? But I know I've had many Egyptian lifetimes, and very connected to the Isis priestess energies and temples. And so I was so excited to go. And the interesting thing was, of course, there was no one there. So we had 2 or 3 hours, basically private time in every single site and temple and pyramid. I think we went to about 18 sites, and we were the only ones there. So phenomenal energy. I just felt like I downloaded a huge backpack full of codes and keys. And I know there were places like especially Karnak and some of the ancient galactic wars, which were also involved with Karnak and Karnak Egypt and Karnak France. And so we often hold codes or keys, and we bring them someplace to maybe unlock a door, activate a portal, those sorts of ideas. And so Egypt was phenomenal. And then about 3 months later, I found myself in the Yucatan being called back to Chichen Itza, and I hadn't been there in almost 36 years. So again, kind of an interesting full circle for me as a human.
Well, and the Mayan pyramids, a lot of them are connected to the Egyptian pyramids. There's many that they've shown me. There's portals, there's symbols, there's all kinds of similarities. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I believe that really the same, light beings back probably after Lemuria.
Both.
Right. Yes, right. Right. Went to all these different continents and brought the temples to all of these different continents. So the interesting thing for me was that I went to Egypt, and then I went to a very different continent, to the Yucatan. And then about 3 months later, I was in Europe, and I went to the Bosnian pyramid. And so kind of in hindsight, I was in 3 pyramids on 3 continents in 9 months. And I just know I was kind of moving pyramid codes around. Yes. And portals and stargates are shifting, and the earth obviously axis is also changing, which is changing a lot of the chakras of the planet, right? So in a very conscious, and of course levels and layers of not so conscious, we are here to do a lot of work for Gaia, for the planet. And then the other thing that was really connecting into that, and what I know was part of the gifts and the codes that I did pick back up and have been integrating into my own field and body, is these more galactic Akashic records. So I don't know if you've experienced this in a different way over the last few years, Nan, if that's shifted and opened. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, well, the theme this is unveiled, and the when we say, oh, around Halloween, the veil is thin, or that's conversation's been around a lot.
Right.
But now I'm seeing like big, more scientific people saying these terms. I just saw Joe Dispenza. His conversation is going to be, the veil is thinning.
Yes, it is.
And I was like, yeah, it
is.
And it's not like, oh, there's this one moment or 3 days and then it goes away. There's degrees. We're just coming out of the equinox. We had a new moon, there's all these energies all the time moving. But yeah, definitely. And this is what's so exciting is that, when you and I started doing this stuff back in the dark ages, practically, there was no internet. You couldn't go to a normal bookstore and find a spiritual book. No
one knew what the Akashic records were. People's eyes glazed over when I'd say Akashic records. They'd be like, yeah, next person, let me talk to someone else. Who else is,
And so it was like, and things took a long time.
Yeah.
The energies were heavier. If you understand the Mayan 9-step pyramid, those are each a level of consciousness. We're now at the top in unity. And when you time got faster, smaller, smaller, smaller. We're moving so quickly. So you might hit barriers and problems faster, but you're also breaking through them faster. So that's what I love, is that if you are new or you are old at this, whatever you're doing right now is going to be so much faster or easier, but it also requires a lot more personal responsibility and mastery.
Yeah. And consciousness, right? All of the above is so, so, so important. And I know that's why both of our record keepers suggest, that mastery, that level of learning to access your own Akashic record, because not only do we have these huge kind of earth libraries, right, of the hundreds and hundreds of lifetimes we've lived on this planet, but what I've really been seeing is even greater expanse of information. And so that's really been the, I'll be working with the client sometimes and it'll be like, oh, back when you were an 8th dimensional being, you made some of these contracts, you helped to write these programs that have kept, Gaia and humanity down in the 3rd dimension for so long. And now it's time to clear, release, delete some of these collective contracts, unwrite some of these programs, really delete this old matrix energy so that we can take our earth, right, and move it back up into the 5th dimension and eventually up into the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th dimension. That's where we're going.
Yeah.
So these more galactic records are holding that information more about the 6th to the 12th dimensional lives.
And how is the difference in that? How do you feel the difference between like somebody saying, oh, here's a past life that you had that's still living in your, this is a client I had, right, that's living in the sacral, and it had this experience, right? Then you go into that life and you can, talk to it, give it a new future, free, all the different things you can do, and the contracts come together, reconnect the power and the communication. What's the difference in the 8th or the higher galactic dimensional things that come through that you've seen?
I don't think the stories are so different. We're different beings. We're not in a human body. So we're more kind of galactic humans, whether we're living in Sirius or the Pleiades, or we're more angelic humans in these higher 8th to 12th dimensions. But we were still doing stuff. we even when we were up in the 12th dimension or we're in the 8th dimension, we're like, let's have a different experience. This is lovely, but I'm bored. Let's create something more interesting, right? Let's create separation. Let's forget that we're all one, right? Let's bring this denser energy. Let's shift the vibration of the planet down, right? From, from Terra to Gaia to Earth. Who knows how long that took, millions, billions of years, because, but a lot of those kind of stories or energies I'm seeing surface, and it's phenomenal because what I notice is that the record keepers often ask me to do, whatever it is, summits or radio shows or just Facebook Lives, where I do a lot of group healing to unwrite, delete, clear, release these group contracts, these matrix plans, all these programming that keep us in separation, right? That keep us stuck, that keep us out of balance, which is another reason why masculine feminine is so imbalanced, right? We wrote that into the earth plan so we could experience that also. So we clear it here in the third dimension so that we can actually move into the fourth and into the fifth. And then what the record keepers are saying is that when we can go up even higher and clear some of what we did back in the, 8th or 7th or 6th, that is making it easier to release what's here, right? So they're working in conjunction. And so the more we do
digging
this,
the hole from both directions towards
yes, yeah. And then I believe that as we can clear this and release that and clear this, right, then we'll be able to pop with much greater ease into that, fifth dimension.
As I have more information for people, do you see that people feel released from some burdens or weight or negativity or heaviness, or do they feel more sense of purpose after they have that kind of interaction with that level?
That's an interesting question. I think, again, because we're all so unique, that the people who are holding these kinds of codes and some of these kinds of stories have been often on a spiritual path for a long time. And so, yes, they really feel that kind of like, whew, that is like a big weight off of my shoulders. Sometimes I feel like I can now move forward with greater ease. We sometimes hold a lot of old energy, like it almost feels like a lot of old guilt and shame around, like the maybe what we as humans perceive as the darkness that brought us to create this world and brought us kind of down to this level.
Yeah.
And it's not true. We are all light beings, whether we're, wearing this suit or that suit, whether I'm wearing a black suit or a white suit, you take off the suit, you're still a being of light. You're still pure source energy, right? So of course, we're all playing roles every single lifetime. That's why we write a plan. We say, this life, I'm going to play this role. And sometimes I'm going to play the role of the bad guy. And sometimes it's like, I'm going to play the role of the victim. And we're coming to learn and to grow. And again, unwrite those contracts, understand the old story so that we can heal it and end, some of these old patterns like abuse on our planet.
Yeah.
So,
because it's like a habit, right? It's a habit. Like when you build a habit, you build a neural pathway in your brain. Becomes like, if you live where there's snow, it becomes like that sled, and pretty soon you just, it's ice. It just goes down that pathway without thinking. Yeah. But it's not just in us, it's in the collective, it's in the earth, it's in the waters, right? And a lot of times I see these old things coming up for 15 years or more, this fear of being intuitive and talking about Akashic Records because you're going to be burned at the stake. How many people have that? It's like, oh, suddenly I feel like I'm having a heart attack because I just told my husband I'm intuitive or something, right? And we've seen that, and it's not just us. It's coming out of us. It's coming out of the cellular memory in the waters. It's coming out of the earth. It's coming out of that paradigm. So yeah, and the cycles, the idea of the cycles coming, we've been through, really, to me, I don't know what you see, but I'm starting to see from this higher and higher perspective that this life and most of the lives that we've had on the planet have led to this moment. Yeah. And this life is about completing that, finishing this, getting past, like there's this sort of almost organized, because I do believe, I'm sure that you have something similar, right? Where you design your life and you bring certain fears with you, certain self-esteem issues, certain whatever, because they're embedded in your other lives or other places that you're holding on. But you're the point person.
Yes. Well, absolutely. And that to me is, really what I wrote about in this, your soul wrote a plan where this is not random. I didn't randomly be born into this family or, whatever, didn't have that random accident, I plan to do all of these things so that I could wake up from it, whether it's a accident that triggered me to awaken or an illness that triggered me to wake up or whatever kinds of stories, or an abusive family or alcoholic family, or all sorts of different challenges. We have come to end these patterns on the planet, and it's so important, which is why there's so many thousands and hundreds of thousands of light workers here, and so many hundreds of thousands of waking up. To me, it's about ending that story, realizing that that was a story. It was a pattern we created. It is exactly what we have come to wake up from. And so it's really, I believe, as simple as that, is that kind of waking up and realizing, oh my gosh, I actually planned that. I wrote that contract with that parent, to have that situation arise and to suffer through that and to heal it for the family and to heal it through my ancestral lineage and to teach about it or share about it or to help other people in my family with it, right? So when we can learn something like that, that ripples out through our whole family lineage and our friends and our community. And so we then are that beautiful gift of healing a huge piece of humanity or community or, our family. And so it's a very, very, very powerful time to be here now, right? To be alive in this world so that we can unwrite, really delete this old matrix story that we've been stuck in for hundreds of thousands of years.
Like an old computer program. It's starting to get laggy and annoying and that again, and it's not working and click, click, click. And
Like, really, can't we just, move on? But, the way the record keepers talk about it is, there's a lot to do, and that's why there's a lot of us here. And they give me this kind of funny image of, you remember the story Gulliver's Travel?
Loved it.
So Gulliver was like this giant and all the little
Lilliputians,
Lilliputians, whatever, he was washed up on a beach and they tied him down because they were just little and he was a giant, and he woke up and he was all tied down. Well, the interesting thing that the record keepers always show me these kind of funny images, because I don't know why, because
I understand.
Really to them, it's all just one big, lovely story. But they show me it's like our earth, our Gaia is what's tied down. And what we're doing is we're cutting those ties, we're moving those hooks and those anchors that have kept her held in this third dimensional energy for so long. And then I see as we do that work, as we do this healing, as we let go of these old programs and stories, and it's almost like a balloon that can then rise up. And she, as a conscious sentient being, is awakening. And so she is also from the inside out helping. And so, she's rising into the fourth and eventually up into the fifth and on and on and on. But kind of back to the topic of Scotland, sacred travel is really part of what we're doing. Right. So when one of my twins decided to go to the University of Edinburgh to get her master's degree, I was like, great, I've never been to Scotland, So I was very excited. And me being the kind of unconscious muggle occasionally when it comes to like family life and stuff like that, let's go to Scotland.
Well,
But
we were talking earlier, right? When you do this work or when you start to live in the world, we were talking about living in the Akashic or in the two worlds
right.
at the same time and learning to kind of do that. And you got to be the mother and the travel planner. And then you got to
Yep.
come over and, woo, what's the experience here? And but that I think is where we're moving. We're moving
Yes.
into not needing peace and quiet and perfect meditation
Right.
moment, but to be able to do it in the flow of life.
In the flow. And so I'm like, yay, Scotland, that's amazing. And of course, the first thing I think is ancient standing stones, right? So I start reading a book about, ancient Scotland and the standing stones. And of course, the beings of light that probably were here back in, 15,000 BC or 25,000 BC who were, building these sacred sites. And I'm like, I'm going. I'm going to the stones. And so I'm kind
Energy
of
in the
laughing,
land, everything,
right?
land and the spirits and the nature spirits there and the, oh my
All of
goodness.
that. Yeah. And I'm taking my husband and my girlfriend and her husband and my daughter. I'm like, well, this will be interesting, right? But I planned the whole thing. I planned something like 8 stops, and we went to Edinburgh. We walked from the Edinburgh Castle down the Royal Mile to the Holyrood Castle, which is where the family will stay in Edinburgh when they're in Scotland. They also go up to Balmoral, but they also, if they're need to be in town, they actually stay in this special castle called Holyrood. And so we did that whole huge 6-mile hike from the one castle to the other castle and saw a little bit of everything. And then the next day we're driving to Rosalind Chapel, which is beautiful, divine, feminine energy.
Incredible.
And yeah,
Incredible.
it was just so much sacred energy information in that chapel.
And so different than anywhere I've ever been.
Absolutely.
Really strange combination of energies. Yeah.
Right. Can't wait to go back there. But we're driving past this Holyrood Castle. My husband hits a curb. We get a flat tire. He ends up pulling over into the parking lot for Holyrood Castle. He says, I'll stay. You go on to Rosalind Chapel. I'll stay and wait for the tow truck and, to fix the tire. And it was fascinating because he who holds all of this beautiful divine feminine, divine masculine, really balance, really sensitivity. I always laugh and say he's so much more psychic than I am. He's so much more really sensitive than I am, clairsentient. He sat there for 5 hours at that castle. Well, we went on really energizing, activating other divine feminine energies at Rosalind Chapel. And so it wasn't about 10 days after we got back that Queen Elizabeth passed at Balmoral, and they took her body down to Holyrood Castle. So I thought that was just, kind of an interesting whole with the whole concept that I just kept getting from the record keepers is you're here to help balance divine feminine, divine masculine. Scotland holds divine masculine. And so the way I saw it was I was then going to Rosalind Chapel, and it wasn't conscious. I was going to Rosalind Chapel because I knew it was a phenomenal sacred site, and to the Isle of Iona, which was also divine feminine, and to the Isle of Lewis, which has these ancient standing stones. And so I could see kind of, after going to all these places, the weaving, the kind of the activating of very dormant energies. Many of these energies have been dormant for probably hundreds and hundreds of years with the imbalance of masculine and feminine. And now with these, it being time and new alignments, the ability to bring forward our codes, our keys, our gifts of activation, and then to go to these amazing sacred sites and be able to energetically kind of activate and then weave and carry right? So it was really funny for me because we went to the Isle of Lewis. It was almost a 3-hour ferry ride to the Outer Hebrides. And we got there and I was so excited to go see these standing stones. They're amazing standing stones. And we're about halfway there. It was about an hour drive from the little town, one little town on this isle. And I realized I don't have my phone. I don't have my camera. And I was like, what? And I panicked because I take so many photos. I have a degree in commercial photography, actually, from art school. And the record keepers just said, let your husband and your daughter take the photos and you hug all the stones.
Yeah.
You pick up the codes because these stones are made with like silica and granite, and these stones hold so much of this ancient energy.
Yeah.
I just felt like I was like bringing all of this ancient galactic energy again, really into my body, into my heart, into my my whole aura, energy field.
Mm-hmm.
I think I hugged about 60 stones. There was a lot.
I've been there. I haven't been there to that particular island, but we went all through to different stone places. We even had to go through a guy's farm to get to this one stone circle. You put some money in his mailbox and walk through his farm. This was in northern England. And then you go up on this hill and there's these, and it's just, it's incredible. But I love how you're talking about this because wow, 20 some years ago, the first time I went to Egypt, I'd never heard of key codes. This is how I first learned of this idea. And I met this lady from Manchester and on the trip and we liked each other because we were running around hugging stones. We were in Egypt. Oh my God, I got over here. Oh, there's a portal over here. And I'm like, oh, I need to be talking to this lady. And she's like, we got to go find some more key codes. We got to spread key codes. We got to, and then we would meet in London and we would do the same thing by getting on a bus, I think we should talk to that person. We go talk to that person and amazing things happen. And so this idea of this constant awakening, that's happening whenever you go somewhere.
We're activating because we're so much more ancient than most of us think, right? We're so much more galactic. We have had a hand in all that is here now. And we have a hand in, again, unraveling this matrix energy so that we can rise back into the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th and on. And that literally is one of these things. And so I could kind of see and feel that we pick them up and then we move them somewhere else, or some of them are for us to integrate and hold. But that's why the 3 pyramids and the 3 different places was so profound, because I really could see in hindsight it wasn't a plan. I'm going to move pyramid key codes around the world. Exactly. I'm just going to all these pyramids because that's where I'm being called to go. That's where the record keepers are like, go there, go there, go there, And so, and even the standing stones were like that too, where it would be like, someone would point out a stone and be like, we had to walk all the way across the beach and up this hill to this singular standing stone that was spectacular. And I went and hugged that one. Yeah. And through the tallest stone on the Isle of Lewis was like, seriously, like in someone's front yard.
Oh, yeah.
It was like, I think it was 25 feet tall. It was really, really amazing. So it was phenomenal that I don't even know how I even found out about them. We're like, oh, you're kind of reading something or one place to another, someone would be like, oh, did you see that? The tallest stone is down the road about 5 more miles. And you're like, okay, off we go.
Exactly. Well, and it's getting into action. And like a lot of what I'm getting from what you're talking about is that to let go of the paradigm that we've come from, that conditioning that we have to plan everything, we have to know everything, we have to analyze everything, we have to know what it means in the moment, all of that. Instead, that like, oh, good, Scotland, great. Well, I know we're going to do cool stuff there. Not sure what will happen, right? And then this, like, you could say, oh, I'm going to all the pyramids on the planet and you plan this trip. That's okay. But this to me is more organic and authentic and divine timing. And the more you connect with your record keepers and things, even intuitively, because even you didn't know, okay, now, Lisa, you're going to be on this very important key code journey. And these are the stats. And this is the ultimate, you know, all this, you know, whatever. We don't need that, because we're like the puppet, for lack of a better word, like we're the one here, and all of this is coming through. But then it makes the magic. I think what people are missing is trying to figure it out instead. Like, you didn't need to know, you just, or you didn't get upset about the car breaking down, you just said okay. And then it's really clear, as you were telling me that story earlier, I was watching the energies and I was like, oh, your husband had to be where he was, and there was a huge ball of energy around him. Whatever he was doing, anchoring there, was really important. And you were doing what you were doing. And so instead of seeing the ups and downs as you go through, or needing to know why, and then you get to see afterwards the fun.
And it's exciting. And again, this is about us moving out of our head and into our heart, right? Getting out of the linear, logical aspect of I have to know it all before I go, and I have to plan there. There's a lot of the stuff you can't plan. That's the magic. And it is divine timing. And so as more light pours to the earth, as more things are opening and shifting, sometimes it's just being there. Sometimes it's just being the, you know, oh, I got the message to go here. Like when I was going to Scotland, and I knew that that held a lot of the divine masculine, and I have been working through the Akashic Records for quite a few years, with especially doing healing circles and, you know, one-on-one clients, working on rebalancing divine masculine, divine feminine, clearing a lot of the emotional pain and trauma, a lot of those lives where we've been slaves, where we were demoted from goddesses to slave or prostitute, right? I've been working on that for 20 years. And so finally, I'm like, okay, so this is kind of really reactivating the divine masculine in balance, not the imbalanced aspect that we've been living with for thousands and thousands of years. And I feel France calling. I feel the divine feminine in the south of France calling, and I'm waiting. I'm feeling possibly spending a month or two in Europe next spring, or, you know, I mean, but that's it. It's living in the mystery. It's not needing to know immediately. I mean, I'm a big planner of travel, and I do all of my own stuff. And so I find it's easier when I know further ahead. It gives me more time, because it's a project, as you know.
But you probably do, like you said, you're getting that. So I live in the Yucatan. There's a million Mayan sites around here, some you can go to, some that haven't been uncovered. And I have a client who likes to come here. And so they've been contacting me about February. Where could we go in February? So we're talking about meeting in these different places. And I just throw that out like, okay, February, you know, what is that like? What are the energies? What's optimal for me? And they come and we flow back and forth, and it went from this place to another place, and I'm not sure what it's going to be. But being called, you know, like this temple we went to on the equinox, 3 years it's taken me to get there, and it's an hour away from my house. But the first year, nobody said that they open at 5 a.m. Even the guides here don't even know that. And I asked and asked, so I showed up as people were leaving. And then the pandemic shut it down for 2 years, right? So this time I started asking when it opened in July, and nobody knew. Literally, I had a driver set up for Thursday, and Wednesday here is what the equinox starts on the 21st to the Maya. I wake up at 5 a.m. and I look at a question I asked into kind of an adventurers back roads group about it. And they said, yes, it's open Wednesday at 5 a.m., but you have to be there at 5 a.m. and they close at 5:30. They only said the one day. So here I'm standing an hour away with no way to get there. At the moment it's opening. And I just went, oh, Chris was already awake because the energies and everything. And he's like, what? I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. And then I just immediately came back into a space of like, wow, I wonder why. Like, I wonder what that's about, right? Here I am trying to be that planet, be in the flow, and it's not connecting. And this is a really big deal to me. So about 10 o'clock that morning, I walked past the couch and Chris has his computer open and he has an expat station. So he's just looking at different news. And he's just opened an article about that site that was just posted that day, that said it was open for 3 days. 3 mornings in a row. And I'm like, what? And so the next morning, there we were. But, it's like that,
Right.
okay, if I had been going around, I'm so mad, I didn't, and not looking, right? Not
Right.
being la, 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 la,
Right.
I
Right.
wouldn't probably even have seen it.
Yeah.
And then I might have missed it again.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So, to me, the record keeper is always, being in alignment. It's a process, right? But just trying to stay as best we can in our hearts, especially when stuff, happens. Like, we got a flat tire and I'm thinking, I have tickets to Craig Miller ruins and to the Rosalind Chapel for 5 people, and that's our whole day. And my husband just so graciously was like, I'll stay with the car, you all go grab a taxi. And it was like, okay, perfect, no trauma, no drama, no, all perfect. And we got to go and do all of the things that we had planned. And then he got to sit with his beautiful energy there at Hollywood,
Helping it get ready for the queen.
Yeah,
To
getting
leave,
ready for the
right?
queen. And again, right, this is all about balancing divine feminine, divine masculine, rewriting our world. And
Isn't that
so,
interesting that you were there focusing on the awareness that the divine feminine in the UK, in Scotland, in England, and here that the queen, regardless of what you think of her, but that's an icon. That's an age that's over now. She is literally ended the way that story will be played out on the planet. Right. And so that woman in power for that long, not in the olden days, but now still wasn't like she was making political decisions. However, that's huge because she was almost like, the goddess of the islands. She was so revered. And anytime, whether you like, Mary, Mother Mary or not, because of religion or something, their feminine body holding that power and essence in a way that nobody else has been able to hold on to through all these dark times.
Right. Yes. And so powerful. And, what the record keepers just really are asking me to add is that it's important for us to, again, know and remember that every body holds a male and a female channel. Balancing our masculine and feminine within our body is very important and very powerful. I do just a very simple kind of process where I just see a gold infinity symbol go from, left to right, right to left, right through each chakra, kind of balancing the hemispheres of the brain and the linear, more logical, and the creative, right? So male channel, female channel, and you can do that through, all chakras. So through your 5th, through your 4th, through your 3rd, and it's balancing the energy of each chakra also, helping to bring our bodies into balance. Because until, they keep reminding us, until we really can truly become balanced humans, we won't be in the 5th, we won't be creating our divine earth life. There's lots to do to create this new earth. And realizing, owning, knowing, right? Of course, being the sovereign of your body and energy field is huge, owning this space, but also knowing that you are a galactic being of light, that you are a creator being, that before you came down into some of these smaller forms, you were a huge, humongous creator being. We were out there creating worlds, we were out there just in this infinite space of the quantum field. And so it's time for us to remember this, to know this, to really start to own it and integrate it into the body, which is helping us to be the creator, manifestor beings in this world. And that is so important as we go forward to create this new earth. And again, even coming all the way down, being grounded into your physical body, getting all the way down into your hips, because that creative energy is kind of third, fourth chakra energies. That's why I love this 3 brains meditation. That is the free gift, because really we have a head brain, but it also includes your pineal and your third eye and your heart brain, which is also access into the Akash and into your claircognizance, and then your gut brain, which is of course a part of your body, but it's so much of that clairsentience and all of that energy that is so powerful and profound to understand your body, your life, your sensitivities. And so getting really grounded all the way down to your first chakra, but really activating and connecting these 3 brains helps you to be that creator being in this world, in this present moment.
Yeah, it sounds like it makes you more like a conduit or a channel that is aligned, right?
Yes.
From above and below, and to anchor that. I always say you got to sit in your sacral down here like a little Buddha.
Yes.
Right? You got to root your root, like sit down in your root and root your root.
Right. Absolutely. It is so true. So, and it's important. And so when we start to think about how are we moving forward, where are we going? It's really about us stepping into our own creative gifts and abilities. And of course, most of us have lived on this earth for hundreds of lifetimes, and we have honed phenomenal gifts and talents. And so being able to go into your Akashic record and go back, clear any blocks or traumas that keep us from accessing those amazing gifts and talents, and then bringing them present into your life, into your body. Now we're really sometimes reclaiming splintered aspects of our soul that splintered from, trauma. And so we're also able to do kind of soul retrieval through our own Akashic records. And so I love to, teach people to do that. So again, you can continue to do this sort of work for yourself every day, because for most of us, it's not instantaneous. I have spent 20, 30, 40 years clearing past life traumas, reclaiming gifts, realigning to purpose, all of those things. And that is the phenomenal gift that being able to access your own Akashic records really, truly gives you.
Yeah. And the fun to reaccess that everything you've been is there. Yeah. You created it. You can find it, you can shift it. It's not the end of the world, and you don't have to know everything. Right. This idea that you have to know everything, you don't, because you have this records, you have these halls, you have these beings, you have all this stuff you can go tap into. So.
And it's amazing, even if it doesn't have all the detail, I always think it's, fascinating. People are like, I want to go re-experience that lifetime. And maybe some people do. I just want to kind of clear the blocks. I'm just more of the healer at heart. I want to clear the blocks, reclaim the gifts and talents, integrate that energetically. It's much faster. I don't need the story. I don't need that whole trauma, drama, whatever it was. It's nice to see myself in the ancient mystery schools, to know that I've been and done that. That's very validating for us and important. But so much, again, with like you've talked about how we're speeding up so much. So much of what we can do is to really reclaim some of this wisdom and bring it in energetically so that we can integrate it into our body and into our life. And it starts to show up as these gifts or these more expansive memories, or sometimes we download a gift and people are like, wow, I just actually realized I can, you know, activate some of the ley lines. One of my students said, he just took my workshop and he was like, I am going to the beach every day and I'm opening portals and I'm activating these ley lines. It's a trip. You know, I'm like,
I love it. Yeah.
it's exciting, right?
Yeah. We get to be kids again and play, because in the Akashic Records really isn't, I don't know. I have to be careful how I say this. I was going to say there's not the rules, you know, that like the outside rules. There's universal laws type of thing, right? But we have the freedom to actually enjoy ourselves, get things for ourselves, enjoy and help others, which is often in the mundane world, not something that people feel can or is possible to all be one.
Right. It's a powerful healing tool, especially because we can move into this quantum field outside of time and space. Phenomenal healing tool. You can access your whole library. And now we really have more of this galactic energy that's opening up for people to start to access that wisdom, heal any of that trauma that blocks you. And again, reclaim many of those gifts and talents. So it is a very exciting, profound time in history.
It is. Well, is there anything else that you or your record keepers want to share before we close?
Really, all they just want to share is so much love for you, Nan, and all of the listeners, everybody who is just interested in making this leap, in moving into this more expanded energy, because it truly is a path to awakening, to greater consciousness, and for all of us to help to heal humanity and Gaia so we can move into the fifth dimension. So it's very thrilling, and the record keepers are so grateful for everyone.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I'm so grateful for you. I'm so excited. We totally got to do something together.
Yes.
And like, you're like, I think I'm going to France. I'm thinking, oh, wow. And I'm like, I was telling you earlier about here, some of the sacred feminine things. And and just that adventure and everything. So, well, thank you. I know you're so busy, and you were just incredibly kind and incredibly flexible to help us to come here to share your beautiful wisdom and knowledge. And I just appreciate it so much, sweetie. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good. So you can find Lisa at akashicknowing.com, and we're going to give you the link to her free gift, Connect Your Three Brains meditation. And thank you, sweetie.
Thank you. Hopefully I'll see you soon in person.
Definitely. And so we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to move on to the next part of the Akashic Records Unveiled. So stick with us and have a beautiful and blessed day.